From time immemorial, sexual practices are a very important aspect of most African tribes' life, and they vary amongst them. Today, we will be looking at the weirdest sexual practices in some tribes of the continent. With over 1,000 tribes across the continent, Africa remains one of the most complex continents in the world. When we take a look at the ways of life and cultural practices of the tribes that make up the continent, as a result of their beliefs and superstitions, different tribes have their unique approach and practices when it comes to sexual activities. In this video, we will take you through some of the sexual practices of these tribes that seem weird to other parts of the world. Note that some of the sexual practices are no longer in practice. Modernization and governmental policies have put a stop to many of these practices because of their negative impacts on the people. Nonetheless, some of these practices are still worthy of knowing about. 1. Virginity testing. Virginity testing is one of the most popular sexual practices in some African tribes. South Africa is a leading country in the continent with this practice despite the efforts of the government of the country to put a stop to the practice. The Zulu tribe of the Southern Africa practice the sexual right for young women. The young woman is taken into a closed space where a virginity tester examines her to know whether she is a virgin or not. The young woman will be asked to lay down with her legs wide open. The tester will then dip her bare hand into the woman's private part in order to confirm if the hymen is intact. Upon the approval of the virginity tester, the young woman gets a virginity certificate. The virginity test is a prerequisite for a young woman to participate in Umulanga, which is also called the Reed Dance ceremony. The Umulanga is a Zulu festival where young single ladies are allowed to participate and showcase their beauty. The young women, that is the virgins, dance bare-breasted for their king with a long reed in their hands. Virginity testing is a controversial practice that has attracted the attention of the United Nations Human Rights. It has been viewed as unethical and the process unscientific. In 2018, the UN Human Rights, UN Women, and WHO made a call for the ban of the practice as it is considered a form of violence against women. 2. The Okujepisa Omukazendu treatment. There has been a controversial sexual practice among the Himba tribe of the northern part of Namibia. These are people who have come to the limelight for their unique weird practices, including their most popular one being their offering of their wives to guests as a form of hospitality. It is commonly opined that in order to foster approval and relationships, these tribesmen offer their wives to a guest for the night, while the man sleeps in another room. However, this practice has been debunked by many people who have visited the tribe. They claim that the tribe does not offer their wives to total strangers. Rather, they only offer their wives to their distant cousins as a means of strengthening their relationship. 3. Sexual cleansing. Another interesting but somewhat weird practice among some tribes in Africa is sexual cleansing. Some tribes in rural part of Kenya, Zambia, and Malawi are said to be found practicing this sexual activity. Locally, it is called kusasa fumbi. It is also practiced in some parts of Congo, Ivory Coast, and Angola, where it is referred to as kuloa kufa. This sexual rite is performed for widows as a form of ritual purification. In some quarters, the practice is based on the belief that a wife might have killed her husband using witchcraft. This ritual takes between 3 to 7 days. It is performed by either the deceased brother or other male relative. In a situation where there is no other male relative, A male sex worker is hired, also called a hyena, paid by the husband family. After intercourse, the widow will burn her clothes, while the man who performed the cleansing will shave her head. The shaving and burning parts are carried out publicly for other community members to witness the cleansing of the widow. Afterward, a chicken is slaughtered. Most times, the sexual cleansing is forced on the widow, the husband, family, and the community, and they may harm any widow who fails to comply. In 2015, Kenya government passed a bill against sexual cleansing since it was considered domestic violence against women. 4. Potency Test. The potency test is another popular sexual practice that has attracted global interest. It is a controversial practice among the Bayankole tribe in the past. The potency test extended the duties of being an aunt in the Bayankole tribe of Uganda. Beyond the duty of providing advice to young men and women, aunts are expected to test the potency of the intending groom of their nieces. Before the marriage, an aunt is expected to have a sexual intercourse with the groom, and the groom can only qualify for marriage with the bride if the aunt confirms him worthy based on the test. The aunt is also charged with the responsibility of testing the bride's virginity before marriage. In some traditions, the bride's aunt is also allowed to either listen on or watch the couples as they consummate their marriage in order to prove the couple's potency. The Bayankole tribe believed in this practice as a means to secure the happiness and fertility of the new couples. The impact of civilization, education, and Western influences has, however, affected this sexual practice in the tribe. The people are renewed in their perspectives. It is believed that they no longer practice the potency test. 5. Wife stealing. Finally, on our list of weirdest sexual practices, we have the practice of wife stealing among the Wodabi. The Wodabi tribe is a group of Fulani people found in Niger, northern part of Cameroon, south of Chad, west central of African Republic, and northern part of Nigeria. It is an annual rite performed by this tribe to strengthen their belief that women have the sexual power and are to be allowed to have sexual intercourse with other men aside from their husbands. During a 7-day period of the festival called Gerewol. During Gerewol, men darken their lips and the circles around their eyes. This makes it possible for their eyes and teeth to appear white. The tribe believes beauty to be based on how glistening your teeth and eyes are. The men adorn themselves with makeup and clothes in order to appear attractive to the women of the tribe. When a woman sees any man she likes, she walks up to him and taps him on his shoulder. And if the man likes her, he is allowed to steal her from her husband for the 7 days period. All of these are some of the weird sexual practices amongst the tribes in Africa. Every culture of the world has their unique practices and way of life. Africa, through the ages, has evolved into a civilized continent, and many of these practices are becoming obsolete in many tribes. You can join this conversation by letting us know your thoughts on these practices. See you next time. This is African History Television.